All right, what's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We're here in the simulator bay. We are going to talk about probably one of the more common questions, common issues I have people when they come into the studio that they are fighting, and that is hitting the ball fat. And it's a common question that I have to deal with. So I'm going to give you kind of the three things that I see most often causing fat shots and how we get rid of those. So before we do that, make sure you click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already, and make sure you leave a comment down below. We're coming up on the season for many of you, so how can we help you get prepared? And we will be back again showing you how to use your launch monitor. If you've got that this year, how can you use that to get better? Whether it's the SkyTrack, Mevo Plus, we've used them all, so we're happy to help you get better with those devices. Okay, so let's get into hitting the ball fat. Why do people hit the ball fat and consistently do it? So there's kind of a couple of things that go on with the swing, and then there's one kind of conceptual thing that I see people struggle with. So the first one is, do people really understand that you are supposed to hit the ball first and then the ground? I still get a lot of people when they come in for a lesson for the first time and they're chunking the ball a lot, the first thing I'll ask them to explain to me is, or I'll just say, hey, do you know what impact is supposed to be? And a lot of times they will think, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll say, okay, well, what do you think gets hit first, the ground or the ball? And a lot of times, they start looking at the club and they think, well, it's got to be the ground because it kind of looks like a shovel, and I'm going to get to the ground, get under the ball, and then send it in the air. And obviously, if you've played for a while, you know that that's exactly the opposite. We get to the ball first, and then we're going to hit the ground. So that's usually number one, is just a bad concept about what's going on in the swing. So what I like to do to help people start to understand this is do a couple of things. One, want them to see how their hands are going to work to get the club to strike the ball first. And what happens is, when you're swinging, your hands work in a circle, just like your body would as it's rotating. They work in a circle. So what do I see people do as they're starting to work on getting to hit the ball a little bit, sooner or a little bit better, or, why they're struggling is I see a lot of people's hands work in straight lines, like they're going along the target line. And a lot of times that comes from the idea that I want to have my hands leading at impact. And that's not how we get that to happen. What we really get is when our hands work in a circle, it's really tough for the club to pass. It's really tough for the club to pass. In fact, we're trying to get the club to pass, and it just doesn't happen. So if you ever watch really good players, you'll see them hit the ball, their hands are ahead, and then very shortly after, the club has gone by. They're trying to get that club to pass it. It's how you get the club to swing faster and things like that. But because they are getting their hands to work correctly in a circle around their body, it doesn't happen. So what we typically will do for this, to start seeing how you hit the ball first, is just bring the club back on a circle, swing it around in a circle, just like this, and just literally see the club run into the ball. Okay? If you want, you can take video from this face-on angle. I think you'll like what you're seeing a little bit more. It takes a little bit of time to get that flip part out of your swing, but I think you'll start to see it as you go. So we'll literally just hit shots like that, and that's one way to get rid of hitting fat shots. It's a very effective way to start off. Make sure our concept is good. Now, the second thing that we'll see is when we are hitting the ball fat is we will see this very, very steep movement of your hands and arms in the transition. So what happens is we bring the club up, we get up here. Everybody, this one's becoming very, very popular nowadays because a lot of people are talking about rotating, shallowing the club. The problem with that is you can't do it and also get your hands out. A lot of the teachers that teach this massive rotation move, they even talk about it. You can't get your hands way out here, because now what do you have to do? Your hands are pretty much directly over the ball, and you have no choice but to just throw the club at the ball as fast as you can, and it's coming down so sharply that you just slam the club into the ground. I struggle with this one a little bit because I've been to some teachers that have tried to get me to rotate more, and then it just caused me to start hitting it fat. So what do you have to do to be able to correct this? Well, what you have to do is, and it's going to feel really odd, you're going to have to bring the club up, and you're going to have to start throwing the club from the top. And everybody's like, well, wait, that's going to make me hit it fat. Look how low the club is this far back. Well, yeah, but when you get the club low, now the club can smoothly travel into the ball, and I'm not taking such a sharp angle down to the golf ball. And you can see right there, if I combine that with my hands working around my body in a circle, we're going to be in really, really good shape if we do that. So you can see that idea of our hands working in a circle is going to keep coming up, because when we bring the club back, we get up here, we have to get our hands down into that circle so then we can work around and get a rotation, all this good stuff that we see, you know, in a golf swing that gets talked about all the time. So that's number 2. We have to work on getting those hands into the circle so they can work around, make really good contact with the ball first. Now the third reason that I see people hit it fat, and this one's always a little bit tougher to work with because it's usually a better player thing, but not always. It's we are actually underplaying, or we're too shallow, and what ends up happening is we get what's called early extension. So what will happen in a swing is people will bring the club up, we get the club to drop, and a lot of times people are thinking about trying to shallow the club out, dropping it excessively. The problem is now you are too low to the ground. You are way too low, too soon. You're coming in from in here. Your body's going to extend and try to avoid hitting the ground, and you got a world of hurt coming for you. It's going to be very difficult to see what's going on with that. And when we talk about our hands in this circle motion, if our hands have to work like this, if I go like this, or if I go like this, my hands work out. They are no longer in the circle. So when that happens, a lot of times that club hits really fat. We will see some really, really fat shots when that happens. We also can see thin shots from this. Just kind of depends. But the way we battle this is we have to start seeing that, yes, you want the club to shallow so you can get your hands into this circle, but then you got to go around the circle. So what I like to do, I learned this from my mentor, Mike Malaska, is we call it the hockey drill. So you just split your hands on the grip, okay, like you're holding a hockey stick. You're going to hold the club up in the air. You can't hit the ball doing this, but you're going to bring it up, you're going to bring it down, get those hands in the circle, and then get the club to the ball where it's still square to the target, okay? And get a feel for how you get your hands into the circle and then go around, and then take that feel and put it onto a golf shot, okay? That's a really, really good drill if you suffer from that third type of fat shot. So that's the 3 types of fat shots I see. Can be a very demoralizing thing when I'm working with players of all skill levels, especially those that are trying to break 100, break 90. The first thing we're trying to get rid of is that fat shot, because if you can just make solid contact, your scores will drop tremendously. Whether or not you're hitting the greens, you will always be around the green, and you'll typically hit it straighter. Even though it might not be in the fairway, you might just be barely off the fairway, things like that, if you can avoid hitting the ground first. So try these 3 things, see if they apply to your game, and let us know in the comments how they work for you. And again, as always, if you have questions, please leave us a comment down below. Click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace out, everybody.